What's going on, everyone? It's Blandon here from Go Stadium, and one of the fastest way to improve your PvP skill is practice. And they say practice makes perfect, but what I truly believe is perfect practice makes perfect. And so my question to you is, how are you spending your preparation time? Are you using it in the most efficient way? Do you see any gaps? Or do you even know there are some gaps in your practice or in preparation time for your monthly cups? If there are, this coaching service is for you.
Hey guys, my name is Mason, otherwise known as ValorAsh, and I am the head of coaching services over at Go Stadium. I will help you find your coach. I believe that every person, everyone's a little different. Everyone has a little different play styles, and so I believe that each coach, there's going to be better coaches for you, and I understand that I'm not going to be that best coach at all times. But for some people, I believe that I am the best fit. So first, a little bit about my play style. I feel that one of the most crucial things, and this sticks out about my play style, is I have first-class energy management. I definitely like to stay ahead with energy. I like high production energy moves like Mud Shot, Thunder Shock, things like that, and I'm always finding time in the games when I can push farming to its absolute limits and get as much energy on my Pokemon as I can so that I can overcome negative matchups later in the game. Another thing that's a little bit about my play style, I like popular picks with a twist. And that also feeds into, I like to punch holes in the meta and to really apply pressure where I see lack of coverage in a lot of meta teams. An example of this, I went with Wing Attack Charizard in Rainbow. There were just, quite frankly, not a lot of anti-flying, there weren't a lot of anti-flying Pokemon in Rainbow. Everyone thought that Quagsire was a sufficient anti-flyer. But it turns out Wing Attack Charizard, when you switch it in, Quagsire can't switch into a Wing Attack Charizard with 2 shields in play. So I like to find Pokemon and take advantage of coverage gaps, like the lack of anti-flying coverage in Rainbow, and then I like to apply pressure there with picks like, Mantine and Charizard to make up for the lack of flying coverage within the cup. Both things that beat what is considered the predominant anti-flyer in Rainbow. My goals for Season 2, I want to be the best competitor that I can. I want to be the best version of myself. I truly do want to help people learn how to battle, to become better battlers, and to become the best battler that they can be. And I also, at the core of it, I really just want to see the PvP scene grow, thrive, and flourish. And I think that's what everybody wants, especially at the higher competitive levels. So I will do whatever I can to help trainers improve on their game. What I feel like I have to offer, it starts with team composition. I definitely have some stranger strategies with team composition, and I like to help set my students up for success by giving them, core outlining basic roles that Pokemon play within teams, and then making sure that they have that coverage. If they don't necessarily want to go with the Pokemon that I've chosen, then I definitely make sure that the Pokemon fits within the role of the team that it's supposed to fill, and that no coverage gaps are left open. I'm big on strategy, love strategy. I practice a lot, and I love to find strategies that are useful, that are disruptive against your opponent, that get in their head. So one of the things that I do offer is I talk a lot of strategy with my students. They hey, what do you think of this? And I'll be like, well, actually, this, and this, and then I'll, sometimes look at some of their points, and they've actually, presented me with some very interesting points after some discussion. I offer game film review. I definitely can go through, point out, anything from, basic simple mistakes like, hey, you shouldn't have made that swap, to, hey, I noticed here, Venusaur could have probably farmed up a little bit more energy off of the Swampert before pulling the trigger on a Frenzy Plant, for example. So just finding situations in which you could have snuck some more energy into your game that can help you definitely overcome some negative matchups later in the match. And then I love, again, theory crafting, and I love to share my findings because, again, I spend a lot of time, I dedicate a lot of time to PvP practice, dedication of time to simulations, etc., etc. So I do have a lot of interesting findings, things that will shake up the meta, disrupt the meta, and throw a curveball at your opponent. And I like to share those findings with my students because that helps them then succeed in their tournaments. Core things that I really coach on are team composition, making sure that you can answer every single threat that's out there. After that, I like to make sure that my students have a good understanding of lineups. So understanding which Pokemon you should bring to battle, how your Pokemon match up against opponent's Pokemon, what to do if your opponent has a Pokemon that is quite disruptive towards your team, strategies you can use, stuff like that. And then the most important thing is execution. Because if you don't, I mean, you can bring your excellent team comp and you have a wonderful lineup, but if you can't make ends meet, you have to learn how to be able to wiggle out of bad situations with energy leads and such like that. So execution is probably the greatest thing that I'll coach you on after you have a solid team composition and a solid lineup. And those are a little about the services that I offer personally as a coach. And I look forward to seeing you all in the Ghost Stadium server.
Hey, GastonAgustin from Argentina here. I'm one of the coaches at Ghost Stadium. Some of you may know me because of my unusual teams, like winning wins at some of our massive local tournaments. For example, back in February, I won my Toilet Cup using Dustox and Quillfish. Then I won my Rainbow Cup using Meganium and Slowbro, and more recently, I tied for first place in my Mirror Cup using Bronzong and Lapras. As you can imagine, I focus on team building. That's the part I enjoy the most doing while preparing for a tournament. I like to bring a different team for every tournament I go. I analyze which roles I need to cover in my team. Then I look into which Pokemon work best for those roles, even if they are not standard picks in the meta. 3 Pokemon that would work best with my style would be Sableye, Lapras, and Bronzong, because they are great at dealing neutral damage. They have multiple viable movesets, which makes them versatile, and they have a very respectable amount of bulk, so that gives me some freedom with my shields. With my students, I help them identify their own playstyle, which Pokemon they like to use, and build a team from there. I work with them on how to avoid becoming predictable. I help my students make themselves aware of their weaknesses. I work with them on how to play around those weaknesses, because learning how to do that is one key aspect in order to win a tournament. My goals for Season 2? Well, obviously to continue growing both as a player and as a community.
I'm TheNut93 from Mainz, Germany, and I'm part of the great Ghost Stadium coaching service. I'm specialized in adapting to my opponent's team and planning my strategies and a solid execution. I mostly like to build slightly off meta with some tanky options. They act as a safe switch and allow me to even come back from a bad lead. But sometimes I follow an aggressive playstyle as well. It just depends on the opponent's team. My favorite Pokemon are Umbreon, Skarmory and Meganium, because they are so versatile and can be used in many different strategic ways. The most important things for me as a battler are know your typings, know your specific matchups, make a good match plan, and build individual and solid lines to be prepared for every situation.
Hey guys, Housestark93 here, also known as Alex, and I'm one of the coaches in Ghost Stadium's Discord. I'm what's known as the Meta King because I'm able to effectively utilize meta-type Pokemon and meta-type teams, and the reason why is because I'm able to read opponents' teams effectively and also figure out and utilize the strengths of my team versus my opponent's weaknesses throughout the course of gameplay. So some of the Pokemon that I really feel like complement my style and my gameplay are Probopass, Azumarill, and Venusaur. And the reason why is because those Pokemon, they farm energy very quickly, as well as, they are at the top of their respective metas whenever they're available. They're always a really good option. So something that I feel like a lot of newer players make as a mistake is not really being able to understand specific matchups whenever that comes around, whether it's a lead or whether it's in the middle of the game, and which charge move to use, how to utilize your energy effectively when you're farming, when to shield in that specific scenario. And one way that I help is I'm able to basically talk my students through those different options that they have and help them figure out the best course of action based on their team and based on their play style. So I really enjoy working with a lot of students that have a lot of passion about PvP. It's something that I really like. It's something I really enjoy doing, is talking about it, because playing the game is really fun, but being able to throw ideas and bounce off ideas off one another is really, really fun, and it's a huge passion of mine. So one of my goals for Season 2 is definitely to continue to grow the PvP community as much as possible. And myself as a coach, I definitely want to be able to coach as many great players as possible. My goal is to coach 10 aces, and my goal for the end of Season 2 is to definitely end up #1 in the world on Silph rank. Whether it's, the beginning or the end of the season doesn't matter, as long as it's at one point in time. So I really appreciate you guys, and I really hope to see you in the future.
Hey everyone, my name is CalebPeng and I'm one of the coaches over at Go Stadium. If you haven't heard about me prior, I am most known for introducing Lugia into the regionals meta, as well as just using a lot of off-meta and anti-meta picks in most of the cups that I play in. As a coach, I focus a lot on team building and mechanics to really help my clients have the highest success rate in these different cups and implement different strategies that people don't usually see. The biggest and most important factor for me is making sure that my clients are having fun when they're playing this game. We all want to win and do well in tournaments, but even if we don't, there's a lot that can be learned from our mistakes, and hopefully at the end of the day you create a lot of great memories throughout the way. So if my coaching style or philosophy resonates with you in any way, feel free to head over to Go Stadium's Patreon page and sign up, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
So why Go Stadium coaching service? Now, one of the most important things that you guys need to understand is the gaming economic engine. With games like League of Legends, there are top players that produce great content that we all love watching, and that will build up the community. The community then generates more sponsorship, more revenue to sponsor other top players, and we can then have more greater content, and this becomes a flywheel effect. And so the challenge that we face with Pokemon Go PvP is that this audience size is too small. So although we have top players, they produce great content, the community is not building up fast enough, so therefore it's not sustainable because these top players have to come up with the cost out of their pocket. So in order for us to keep providing greater content, we thought of a solution where these top players can earn more money on the side. So it's not so much about Go Stadium making more money, it's about providing greater content and a platform for these top players to actually earn some money on the side. So that's why we introduced this coaching service where they can coach, earn some money, and then they can go to more tournaments, therefore they can produce greater content. Now, a lot of the greater tournaments, as you can see on our channel in the past, on King's channel as well, is that, they have to travel to different cities. And this is unsustainable for a lot of people, because if they have to play a game where they fork out a lot of money and not make anything back, it's not going to last very long. So that's why this coaching service makes sense. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding, and see that this is for a greater purpose where we have a platform for these top players to actually earn some more money on the side.